I know for myself, you're the first unbiased person to read my book.
Yes.
I didn't get that buddy going, oh, that's a great job. Next Stephen King, or I didn't get, you know what I mean? It's like the first, but you don't know me. We've never met here. You're reading my book for the first time. So it's that real first genuine, um, impression of what you're trying to write and get out there. And that in itself is worth its weight in gold. So, and you got to be prepared for it too. Cause like you were actually really, I felt a lot of your comments on my book were actually very useful. I think I used 99% of all your suggestions because I could tell they came from the right place. And you were like, yeah, I see where you're going here. And you missed it just by this much, So that's one thing I really appreciated about my own first experience with an editor in my book. So I found it very positive.
Good. Yeah. Sorry. Most editors that I meet, one of the first things we say on like the phone, if we meet over the phone, is like, typos are out, right? We're gonna ignore each other's typos. Yes, obviously, that's true. Um, that's because most editors know they're not God, right?
Mhm.
We are not infallible. Like
Mhm.
your book is your book. This is your work of art, not ours. So when we put a suggestion there, like that's a suggestion,
Mhm.
So but again, the suggestion could just be a little flag for you that something different's needed. Not necessarily what the editor has suggested, like the suggestion's good, but maybe it gives you a new idea. And sometimes I've had clients that are like, no, actually, this is how this character talks. He doesn't talk like that. Yes, this character made a mistake, but that's exactly what the character would do in this situation in my imagination. And they put that there, and I go, oh yeah, you're right, or like, I can see where you're coming from. And then, we just make the book better and keep moving forward.
But with that, what would you say then that most readers probably don't realize that's happening behind the scenes, especially with the editing?
I can't speak for most readers, but it took me some years to realize that the author really wants my criticism.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would feel so like a little bit I don't want to say nervous, but like put a criticism like, should I write that? Should I say that? I don't know. Like how do I put this? And then when I wrote my first novel and I took it to Ellen Campbell, who's another editor. She's been editing years longer than I am. She's one of my mentors, and I sent it to her to write like every single critical thing she said. I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's spot on. And again, even if I didn't agree with her, I was really glad she said something and I could make a change before it went and got published, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the revelation for me was that yes, authors really do want the critical feedback.
Mhm.
And even if they disagree, you just delete that comment and move on, right?
Yeah,
Just move
I
on.
notice whenever I disagree with an editor's comment, I may not necessarily follow the suggestion, but it might inspire me to choose an alternative course of action that I didn't think of before, or maybe simplify my prose, or maybe tighten up my pacing, whatever it is I need to adjust. So it's not just the individual suggestion itself, it's hey, this is an opportunity for me to make this book better.
Mm.
And the editorial process is a great way to do that because, in my opinion, a great story is not going to seem so great without great editing
Mm.
because
Yeah. Like,
you don't want
couldn't
to
agree more.
shortchange on the editing. You get what you pay for when it comes to an editor. That is very sure. Yeah, that is very true. I've tried to go cheap and it bit me in the butt. And you know what? I'm really glad we have editors like you, Lauren, that are skilled and dedicated and do it professionally instead of some guy in India trying to scam you, which
Yeah.
unfortunately happens a lot. So readers or new authors be warned. You get what you pay for, and budgeting for an editor is ideal. Sorry,
More,
guys. I was a
we'll,
little off track, but I had to get that out
it's
there.
that's
No,
how we
you're good.
roll.